YouTube channel called Finsk-Cam is simply a collection of videos from a person's drive to and from work. One upload has thousands more views than any other because of how creepy it is, and also because it's difficult to come up with a satisfying way to explain it. So Finsk is driving to work when someone forces him to the other lane. As he's getting closer, he discovers it's an older woman standing in his lane. She remains suspended in this position and does not so much as turn her head to acknowledge him. In fact, we never see her face at all. Does she even have one? Light snow covers the cars, but does not cover her, so she could have not been standing here for long. Still, it is very cold out, and yet not once do I see any indication of her breath. Is she alive? A ghost? Finsk slows down, and I want to say he helps her, but the video ends before we get a chance to really see. This was made in 2017, and no update has been provided, so I guess what happened next will have to stay a mystery. A woman is driving in the woods at night when she hears this. Published by Bigfoot's testimony. This poor soul caught a truly frightening encounter on camera. The footage shows a woman heading home late at night when she pauses for a moment after hearing something. She starts driving forward again, but then after stalling in the middle of the road, she hears this horrifying scream.
Oh my god, no, that.
The sound freaks her out so much, she speeds off. Many in the comments are saying lots of animals make scary noises in the wild. Some think this could be a bobcat. Others say it's obviously the ghost lady of the woods. While many are getting horror movie vibes, perhaps those most familiar with the forest can explain. Any park rangers here? I'm sure your opinion can help us solve this mystery. The David Oman house is a supposedly haunted home in Beverly Hills. That's not too far from where the Manson cult claimed the life of celebrity Sharon Tate. A team of paranormal investigators are busy taking pictures of a dark room at night with an infrared camera to detect heat signatures. Suddenly, the floorboards creak nearby as if someone is near, and this message is broadcast on their equipment. The team bravely decides to stay put instead of taking its advice. Not too long after, they develop this haunting photograph while snapping pictures in the dark. This heat signature undoubtedly looks like the outline of a human. While this photo could be doctored or simply staged, it could also be another piece of evidence that the David Oman house is anything but safe or normal. Who knows what would have happened if they had stayed there much longer. A paranormal YouTube channel known as Exploring Darkness goes on a two-person investigation that leaves them in their words.
Really an exploring video.
What in the world?
I said we're gonna call this an exploring video, now I'm getting scared.
Knowing what true evil feels like by the time they're through.
There's
someone in here?
In here. There's the roof. Nope.
On reviewing the video evidence, the research team sees a hooded figure at 3 minutes 51 seconds. Paranormal or not, there's no doubt that this is the person responsible for making all of the noise. Freaky, right? A weird security video from southeastern Nigeria has been freaking people out since October of 2019. Animals seem to disappear in this haunted alleyway, and then it happens to someone who they've long suspected of being a witch. I think these security guards were bored and playing a joke. Notice how the yellow playback bar suddenly skips ahead whenever something disappears. It's pretty obvious that some editing has occurred. So my final analysis is no, this video is not real. What do you think though? I saw a light anomaly, writes Francisco Escamilla, after uploading this bizarre ring cam footage to his YouTube channel. He has no idea what this was and is looking for answers, so let's try and help. I think this could actually be paranormal because their dog just so happens to go crazy at the same time.
Keep out.
The block is quiet and the dog doesn't really have much to bark at other than this strange moving object. Some dogs will bark at nothing, so that's not necessarily proof. The way this alleged ghost orb slowly moves makes me wonder if this is actually just a bug that was attracted to the porch light, walking across the lens up close to give this strange and spooky effect. A YouTuber named IN7 and a large group of friends decide to investigate an abandoned home for some possible paranormal activity. They didn't find anything that strange on the first floor, aside from some mattresses, so they decide to go up a flight of rickety steps that looks far from safe.
You got a my crip again.
Some laughter stops them in their tracks. They start to run, but then find confidence in numbers and decide to keep going anyway. When they get to the top floor, they find more mattresses. One of the mattresses has a human-looking figure on it with black sheets pulled above the head. Suddenly, some other kids rejoin the group to warn them of more people.
I didn't hit them before. I did people upset.
They hear laughter again and bolt down the steps, out of the house. The laughter sounds distant yet somehow all around them. If it's not editing, then it's definitely paranormal. The group will never know if the person laying on the mattress was just sleeping or not alive. They could have stumbled upon some ritual sacrifice for all we know. What hides in the shadows can oftentimes be shadows themselves. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Mego White, the Redditor explains that she and her husband were away from home over a weekend and set up the motion detector Alfred camera app in their room for surveillance. When they returned from their trip, they were met with this unusual and terrifying video. The clip shows a fuzzy bedroom backdropped by a doorway with either a light on beyond or a natural source of light casting inside the other room. That light shifts as something is apparently moving enough to set off the motion sensor. In fact, that something appears to pass right across the doorway, blocking out the light beyond for a moment. You can make out a distinct figure. It's more like a shadow or a vague or even invisible figure that still somehow manages to distort the light. There is definite movement, but from what, we can't know for sure. Redditor JJ740 asks if there was an intrusion, to which Meg answers that all the doors and windows were locked and nothing was missing. She also notes that strange things have been occurring in this house for a matter of months. Like what? Meg explains we can always see a shadow walking out of the office through the wall into my closet, and I always thought I was seeing things until we caught this on camera. She also says in another comment that her kids have heard people talking, and her 2-year-old has even started laughing at something in empty rooms of the home. A Redditor writes, that's actually genuinely creepy. Of course, as with every potentially paranormal clip, you have your insect theories, but most agree that the clip looks legit and not edited or faked. What do you think? Are you freaked out? I certainly am. What would you do if you lived in a haunted house? YouTuber Charles Larita and the Mischief decided to film it. He posted this video in June of 2011, writing, "My house is seriously haunted, and I'm still freaked out about this." In the video, he claims he always hears noises coming from his room, even when there's no one there. And while he's in his room, he feels a strange presence. After setting up a camera at night with the lights on, he discovered something strange around 2 hours into the footage. Here's what he found. The video shows a shot of the room, somewhat unfocused, with a chest of drawers, a black guitar case leaning up against it, and a door. After a moment, the light on the chest of the drawers starts to shake back and forth slightly. Something falls off the top of the chest, and then the door to the left swings closed with exactly no one in sight. Many in the comments are freaked out by this bizarre clip, with BTS Nelly Thickums writing, "Move out of that house." Others agree they would have hightailed it out of that place. What would you do if this was your home? This elevator video from 2012 was taken late at night at an undisclosed location. The space is completely empty until a woman with long dark hair and a dirty nightgown appears out of nowhere with her head down. She stands in place for less than 10 seconds before the security camera suddenly glitches out and shuts off. 2 months later, the video was leaked to the public and posted online. This leaked video might be fake because it almost looks like a stereotypical Hollywood version of a ghost. Then again, as CCTV cameras continue to improve in quality, it would only make sense for the spirits to show more detail as well. The power goes out and a man must go into the basement to find the circuit breaker. There's only one problem.
This is where I heard the boning at night.
Once he gets downstairs, his beam is swallowed in the darkness, and while fumbling around, he barely catches a glimpse of a pale face down there with him. And by the time he gets the flashlight to work again, it's already too late. Whatever this is a face of, ghost or otherwise, I doubt it's a mask because at 50 seconds you can see its mouth open and its smile fade away as it lunges forward. It doesn't grab him and he is able to get away, so if this is real, then it could be one of the highest resolution ghost sightings ever caught on camera to date. A door closing by itself is another classic sign of a ghost haunting the place, and it doesn't always have to be a ghost slamming the door. A gentle closing is oftentimes twice as scary.
If you're out there, please shut this door one more time. That's all I'm asking. Just move. Oh my. Okay, I'm getting seriously freaked out right now.
The person who captured the paranormal activity says they were home alone when the door shut by itself a few times.
I don't believe that just happened. I didn't think I'd get anything. Well, I'm definitely going to be filming this area more.
He says a ghost slammed it shut in the past, but this time it shut it gently. Afterwards, he investigates the door to show us there's nobody standing on the other side because there's no room. It's apparently a haunted staircase, presumably leading to the attic. He says there are no open windows behind him, which was my guess. At 1 minute, you can see no string around the interior knob, which was my other guess. Freaky, right? An old woman is said to haunt the village of Arai, and YouTuber Han Kardashler and his team are here to investigate. As they set out to explore, they hear strange noises in the thick fog.
Birçok haneden yaşamda. Sesi duyuyor musun orada bak?
Aşağıdan.
Okay.
There was a figure down that road, but it could simply be a person.
Sesi duyuyor musun orada bak?
Still, it looks creepy to me, and that's made even creepier when the cameraman later sees an old woman behind him.
Hemen arkamda bir tane yaşlı bir kadın.
Gidiyorum orada. Görüyorum.
They return to the haunted village at night, and through the window of this haunted house, they see an old lady.
Evet. Kim var? Bir iki kişilerin. Belki de şuradan gireceğim. Bak. Oradan da pencere kapalı.
Is it the old lady? The guys think this woman is alone in here, talking to herself, but I see another woman sitting next to her.
Bir kadın var tekte bu arada.
İki kişilerim.
Bu ne?
Birini anlatıyor olan diye görünmüyor.
Gözükmüyor işte.
Neyi anlatıyor acaba?
Bilmiyorum ki.
Kanka tek kişi o kanka.
If this place is supposed to be abandoned, then it's creepy that these women are hosting some sort of gathering here. But otherwise, I think the guys should continue looking for their old lady ghost. Are you working shoulder to shoulder with ghosts? YouTuber Graham Lee is, and this time they caught the spirit in the act. Watch the left-hand corner of the screen.
Oğlum. You say that there?
The box is sitting flat on the shelf before it slides forward and then leaps to the ground.
You say that there?
The uploader writes that there was no way anything could have pushed it off. To be honest, it's hard to tell from this angle if that's the case.
You say that there?
Something may have fallen behind it, propelling it forward, or perhaps it was somehow unstable on the shelf to begin with. So before I conclude this was the act of a phantom co-worker, I'm going to need to see more footage. A bottle of cleaning solution is far from scary until it moves across the counter on its own. The clerk has his back turned, so it's not him. It never moves when he's looking. He can sense something strange, but when he turns around, the object stops. He probably has the bottle out because he wiped the counter down. If the surface is still wet, then that could be why the object is sliding towards him. But if that were the reason, then why would it stop moving every time he turns around? That part seems more like a ghost is messing with him. So is our freaked out friend in India really working front desk at a haunted office building? Based on the weird things caught on CCTV, I really think the evidence presents a strong case for the paranormal. This old VHS footage was taken by construction workers during an interior renovation project in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's daytime and well lit, and the building still has a constant eerie vibe. They claim to have seen the ghost of a girl walking across the property, and the air grew cold around them, even though they are in the south. One of them records this mysterious noise coming from the hallway. It sounds like a moan from behind. Take a listen. He calls out for his friend Tom and picks up a strange whispering noise as he turns.
Hey, Tom!
He pauses outside of an especially dark room and feels watched by a presence within, a force that strips him of his bravery and leaves him small and vulnerable. He sees movements and bolts down the hall. I think I can see the outline of something in the corner here when the room is brightened. Could this be the ghost girl they were talking about? He decides to take one last look in the room and cautiously peeks inside. Rushing footsteps come from within and send him screaming off the job site. This isn't a gentle good morning. Published to YouTube by C4CAT in March of 2018. This is what happens when an early bird of a ghost is angry that you're not up yet. The video shows a man asleep in bed as window curtains nearly blow, at times pushing the entire curtain to the side. The young man at first remains undisturbed by this. At one point when the curtain is brushed over, you can see something white appear behind the bars of the window. Then an obscure flash of white passes close to the camera. Shortly after, there's a slow disturbance in the man's blanket. Part of it lifts until the entire blanket billows up. It's then ripped off of him by an unseen force. Like a bucket of cold water, this is one alarm clock you wouldn't want to wake up to. Sometimes Ghost Hunters Become the Hunted, published by Yoon Sai-won in April of 2021. That's what happened to this Korean ghost hunter on one of his most recent investigations. Upon entering the haunted locale, he hears a strange noise.
안녕하세요.
It could be a dog barking in the distance, but who knows? Whatever it is, he has a bad feeling.
예, 불길한 기운.
And that feeling grows when the EMF meter reacts strongly. Despite there being no electricity in the place, using facial recognition software, faces also start to appear around the abandoned place. And they're getting closer by the second. Later, as the ghost hunter is using a spirit box, he hears a loud bump in the night. And then again as he continues his search. Is Yoon Sai-won being stalked? It may be best to call off this ghost hunt. This video comes from a creepy YouTube channel ominously called I Know Where She Is, whatever that's supposed to mean. Anyway, whoever's filming seems to be at some old abandoned house that's covered in years worth of trash. A loud generator blocks out all sound. They turn around as if startled and shine their flashlight on the doorway, but they don't see anything. Neither did I the first time. Look again though, and you'll see the fleeing shadow of someone retreating from the doorway. Overall, it's hard to tell if this was a phantom figure, or just the angle of the flashlight playing tricks across the wall. What if we are living in a simulation? Cross-posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the cross-poster suggests that this is visual proof that the universe is updating now. The video footage shows a spinning wheel of light in the sky, the type you see on your computer screen when the system is buffering. The wheel is seen at a distance and then close up. The short clip offers no explanation, leaving Redditors to reach the most extreme conclusions. Maybe they're just looking to get some of that McDonald's. Is the haunted Papworth hospital worth exploring? YouTube Team Ghost Theory tests their fates to answer that question in this scary video. As they enter the building, they hear a whistle.
Just listen. Go. Nicely to listen. I did. Is it the door? Did you eat?
Continuing their tour of the hospital, the spirits there respond to their questions.
Can you see us?
How's the ants, wasn't that?
What the actual...
They get an affirmative answer again.
Are there more than one... Is there more than one spirit here? That's a yes.
As they stay quiet for a minute, they hear multiple noises in the stillness.
That's weird. And also, I'm confused because why in like a reception area?
Well, I guess they could be anywhere.
Yeah, wandering around. Is that true? Do you just walk around here?
Further along, they capture a door moving.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, no, I just heard that.
I've just started recording. That door's just moved.
They then hear a loud thump from another room.
Wow.
And then another strange noise is heard. As they head outside, there's faint crying in the night.
Look who might be in the baby crying at you.
No, I think it could be just one of the houses. There aren't any. They're all just there in front of us. No lights on.
Is that a baby crying? Before they can find out, they face off with some of the scariest beings that ghost hunters can ever encounter, humans.
Whoa.
While the team may have been here, it sounds to me like they're not alone. It seems plenty of spirits are afoot at Papworth. This YouTuber is exploring the Trespassing Abbey in Wales when he notices a strange animal face in the stone. It's hard to see at first, but you can make out the face of a pig here. This prompts him and his group to examine the area more closely. Eventually discovering a series of even more startling finds, they soon realize that this is not a natural rock formation, but rather some kind of ritualistic stone altar from ancient times past. The smooth surface was probably used for some sort of human and animal offerings.
Proper seats on it, little church thing there.
Finally, he zooms in on the clawed feet of the altar, and the video ends shortly thereafter. It's hard to say whether this is some kind of stage prop, or if they really did stumble across a hidden evil deep within an old cave. The friends seem more curious than scared, which is a strange reaction, but then again, if I was there, I probably wouldn't know what to think either. Overall, I'd say this video has a good chance of being real, but I would like to get some other opinions. When a Shadow Welcomes You, Run and Hide, published by Polish Paranormal TV in October of 2021, this scary video explores a haunted place in Poland. Upon entering, the team uses a spirit box as they head up the stairs. Right away, the spirits start speaking. According to a translation, the spirit says either "I'm here" or "welcome here," but how welcome are they? Later, while walking down a hallway, a shadowy figure is spotted leaning against the door frame. You can see it more clearly in slow motion. Do you see it? If you do, this figure will haunt your eyes for eternity. When the paranormal team Cazadores de Sombras went to investigate this ritual site, what they found was a living nightmare. As they approached the site, they find what appears to be a body levitating high above a fire pit. They later hear something in the surrounding woods.
No, damn, neither. Not for silence. Carabina. Sai gritando, velho. Sai gritando lá.
Now, back in the safety of their vehicle, they're left to ponder what their eyes saw. Without context, it's difficult to know what's going on here. Is this person being levitated by some dark magic? And for what purpose? I can't provide any insight on this one, but I do know that I'm super creeped out by the events here. Need help moving your furniture? YouTuber Finia915 will lend you their resident ghost. This video was captured in their home. Watch the table on the left.
Which was here, all into that die, whereas I must to the takes probably to
Did you see it? The table moves ever so slightly. Watch closely.
old year I did not. Every time I find stairs with the other back.
This is what causes her to sprint into another room and lock the door behind her. I can't really blame her. She's either dealing with a ghost or an intruder. And wouldn't you do the same? I sure would. Think your possessions are safe right outside your home? This series of videos will have you second guessing that. The uploader explains that the first video occurred on a Saturday night in June of 2019. It shows two women on the balcony of a house, innocently looking through a shoe cubby. After checking out a couple pairs, they suddenly race from the balcony. Apparently this isn't their home, and they aren't supposed to be there. These same brazen ladies return in the second video. It appears they felt the need to trespass further. One of the women returns to the balcony, strolling across it at ease. That is, until she notices the security camera posted up in the corner. She laughs and covers her face, quickly leaving the balcony. It's not clear if these intruders made off with anything from the apartment, but Kaziam asks viewers to spread the word. If not thieves, it's still creepy to imagine strangers lurking right outside your front door at night. Something is terrorizing these poor pets. Originally posted to TikTok by El Otrolado 21, a pair of pups are surprised by an unknown object being pulled or pushed across the ground. The security footage shows an item roll across the floor, seemingly on its own. Is it being dragged? Is it being rolled? By whom? One dog moves from his seat on the couch, while the other merely lifts his head as the object rolls before following his friend's lead. Is a human playing a trick on these animals? Or is it a phantom? A YouTuber named Exploring with Felicity is exploring an abandoned house when her solo paranormal investigation goes very wrong. She thinks she hears spooky and creepy noises upstairs, and I do too.
Very creepy.
Whatever it is, it doesn't sound like a wild animal.
I'm just trying to get used to.
She makes it to the second floor and is about to go to the third when a spectral figure passes by. We don't get to see if this was a real ghost sighting or a scary stranger dressed in all black because she is too busy running out of the abandoned house to get a closer look, which to some is all the paranormal evidence needed to conclude this scary video is probably real. The horrific event that happened at University of Idaho has drawn national and international attention. Redditor 2201992 shared some Fox News footage of the investigation, including an interview with the victim's father. During the interview, something odd happens. Listen closely.
Holy, that's a scream.
It does sound like a scream to me too. Some in the comments say it happens 3 times on the full video posted on the Fox News website. Whether or not this can be explained, considering the interviewer is at the scene of the incident, this terrifying shriek made my hair stand on end.
Holy, that's a scream.
It's 3 in the morning when Daniel, Christensen's dog, begins growling and the bedroom door swings open. Daniel is staring into the dark hallway while recording with his camera, waiting for something to happen.
What a trip.
Here you can see what could be the head, shoulders, and left arm of a shadow person. It's towards the corner of the room on the right hand side. Let me know if you see it. Then the shadow appears again, much closer this time. It's way too dark though, so I can't tell for sure if it's a shadow or just his thumb. Thomas Hayes has been hearing scary loud sounds lately. Strange scratching noises coming from inside of the wall, right next to where he sleeps at night. Anxiety mixes with fear as he dismantles the electric socket to investigate what's gone wrong behind the walls. And let me tell you, the source of the scary sounds is beyond creepy. He tries not to scream as he finds the wall is filled with an endless number of fried insects, roaches to be exact, and look at 30 seconds he absent-mindedly flicks one off with his finger. That's not exactly the reaction I was expecting, and certainly not what I would have done, but I guess he was shocked at the time. Speaking of, I can't help but wonder how safe it is to prod around an electrical socket with a screwdriver in the first place. I know he probably turned the power off, but I feel like it could still hold a charge. Someone tell me in the comments. All that's hidden in the shadows may surprise you. Posted to the Chills Narrators subreddit, Rob Impulse writes, newest Sidemen Sunday video. It looks like they don't notice this person standing up leaning against the wall. What person is he talking about? Rob explains that the video only shows the 7 sidemen in orange jumpers, but around 30 minutes into the video, this guy appears hidden in the dark. Redditor Mitch's Microwave asks if it could be a bodyguard or cameraman, but Rob says the crew weren't wearing orange jumpers, only the sidemen were. So who is this, and why is he hiding here? I think this one might actually be paranormal. This mini golf course is haunted by so many golfers who didn't win their round. Published to YouTube by Urban Ghosts Urban Exploration in April of 2021. Joe, Rob, and Kate are up for a course in fear as they explore this abandoned mini golf in the middle of a lightning storm. The whole thing kicks off with nothing but whispers. In the beginning, as they explore a room that's been torn apart, you can hear this whispering in the background. As they continue to explore, there's another voice that sounds like it says, "That's creepy," as they come across a stuffed teddy bear. Joe notes that the teddy bear wasn't here when he last visited the place. As they move glass off the teddy a short while later, 2 distinct knocks are heard. Despite this, they continue exploring. At this point, in a darkened room, 2 lights shine clearly above Joe's head, but these could either be a passing vehicle's headlights shining through a window, or they might be from one of the crew's devices. At the same time, it sounds like a faint voice is heard.
Either road noise, or somebody potentially walking around out there and it like subtle whispers.
As Joe is talking a short while later, something or someone is heard speaking over him.
Necrophonic app, I'm gonna
The voice is loud but muddled, and the crew seems to have heard it coming from outside the room. They decide to explore the ceiling air shaft. For a moment, you can hear weird laughter.
Who's up there?
Later, while filming inside the same air shaft, a distinct boom is heard which causes Kate to let out a terrifying scream. This, of course, scares the entire crew. Later, whispers are heard in the air shaft again. Then they film up inside the air shaft. This is when you can hear a muffled female voice. It sounds like it's saying "move on back" shortly after. Another knocking sound. The crew believes there's a spirit up in the air shaft. They are listening deeply, and at this point it sounds like a woman singing, but they don't appear to hear her on site. YouTuber Stella Gomez also notes that the sun ray has been moved against the wall at the end of the video. It wasn't there to begin with, so unless the crew moved it, then who did? Being as they usually don't disturb anything, its movement is all the more disturbing. Is the lady in the air shaft toying around with them? Take a look at this quick clip of another possible shadow person in someone's basement and tell me if you think it's real. If you think it's computer effects, then please tell me exactly what clued you in. I personally see valid arguments on both sides. A demon calls this place home, and the YouTube team Dark Mystic is here to investigate. Using a spirit box, they receive a message from the beyond. This demon apparently needs help, or maybe the spirits he's tormenting do instead. Meanwhile, a still cam in another room captures several unexplained noises. Noise resounds in a second room as well. The noises continue. Is the demon biding its time here until these men leave? I think that's what's happening. To me, he doesn't seem like he wants to scare them away with a bang. At least, not yet. Arachnophobes beware. This video is straight out of Ron Weasley's Nightmares, published by Exotic Slayer in October of 2018. Footage of this spider will remind you why so many people fear them. The Goliath bird eater is the world's largest spider by mass and size. Goliath calls South America home, and its leg span is second only to the giant huntsman spider. Goliath is called a bird eater for a reason. A copper engraving, made by Maria Sibylla Marian, in the 18th century depicts the giant spider chowing down on a hummingbird. But don't worry, birds aren't often the spider's prey. Rather, he prefers worms, amphibians, insects, and other arachnopods. Although Goliath has been known to eat things as large as rodents, lizards, and snakes. Imagine running into this spider in your jungle lair. It's what nightmares are made of. A Reddit user named Addison W has posted one of the creepiest things ever caught on doorbell cam to the Chills Narrator subreddit. A large, scary man bikes up to their front door and has this to say.
I'm sorry. I looked in one day and saw you. Oh God, I can't stop.
The creepy man has his face covered and a light on his head that could be used to better see into people's windows. I don't know which is creepier, the fact that he has apparently been looking into the windows of random people's homes, or the fact that he calmly confesses it to them later into their doorbell cameras. At any rate, I really hope this person is just a random stranger with a dark sense of humor, and not somebody who has developed an obsession. Unfortunately, I think the chances are very high that this is somebody who is extremely messed up and cannot help themselves. Hopefully the police find him before any of his compulsions grow even worse.
I'm sorry. Looked in one day and saw you. Oh God, I can't stop.
A ghost has no use for a haircut, but apparently that doesn't stop one from haunting a famous barber shop called GQ Cuts in La Puente, California. Caught on security cam is a ghostly guest slipping under a blue gown.
Like that says move. Like that says move. I'm not gonna bring up that right there says move.
Everyone, even the woman getting her hair cut, is nervously looking at the chair, waiting for it to move again, which it doesn't. But hold on, nobody sees the scariest moment of all on the shelf above them.
Like that says move. Like that says move. I'm not gonna bring up.
A creepy mannequin head turns towards him, while he tries to tell everyone what he saw. Thankfully, the moving objects were caught on tape to prove him right. Then again, it could be this fan on full speed that's blowing objects around. Who would win in a swamp fight? A deer or an alligator? You're about to see. Published by Hazy Season in June of 2019. This scary video was captured at Squaw Creek Reservoir in Glen Rose, Texas. At first, the fisherman thinks he's looking at a huge fish.
Look at those. What is that? Is that a dead fish?
But as he gets closer, he realizes it's a deer in the water. The deer is no longer alive, and it's being pulled down into the water's depths.
Looks like a deer, dude. It's a dead deer. Holy
by something that is so far unseen. The crew is wondering what's gotten hold of it. They watch for a moment and soon realize a gator's got him. They then let nature take its course.
Dude, what happened? Did it just like fall down this hill? Holy.
What is it? It's got this.
Although we probably all could have guessed that the gator would win this battle, I'm sure we were all rooting for the underdog. Nothing like heading out to the old barn in the middle of the night. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by the Comics Man, and originally posted to YouTube in April of 2020 by the channel Me and Some Dudes. Comics Man writes, thought I saw something at 1 minute 19 seconds. Don't know. Let's take a look and find out. The guy filming sets out to show us his barn at night. He notes that there's a shed full of roosters to the side, and sometimes they go berserk. He says when they do, and he goes to check on them, the door is always open. His theory is that there are bunnies or raccoons living beneath the barn, but how would they open the door? Eugene Krabs in the YouTube comments points out at around 1 minute 18 seconds that something appears to duck down behind the gray thing in the barn. Do you see it? We can only hope it's a raccoon and not something creepier. Built around 1635, the Pythertsi Castle is said to be one of the most haunted places in Ukraine. Take a look at some of the best paranormal evidence ever taken out of the creepy castle.
Andriana!
A ghostly figure appears in the window and waves at them before mysteriously disappearing. It's not a reflection of clouds because of how quick it fades in and out. The person filming calls out the name Adriana, who I think was the name of one of the king's many wives hundreds of years ago, and whose life was possibly taken by him. Or it's just good editing. Hard to say. This place is said to be absolutely flooded with supernatural forces, so who knows? The Jagged Things crew visited a haunted hotel in this paranormal investigation. A few things happened while exploring the home that they didn't notice until watching the video back. The first occurs behind Linda. Watch closely. Did you see that? It looks like something passes behind her. Here it is, more slowly. To me, it looks like it could just be the backlighting from the window distorted by Linda's position in front of the doorway and the movement of the camera. But this isn't the only spooky thing to occur. Watch the door at the end of the hall. And here's a close-up. Although it's more interesting to think this was paranormal, I have to admit it could also be a draft. Still, both are great captures. What do you think is going on here? Afraid of heights? Look away or this one might get you. The video illustrates the day-to-day of those who climb tall towers to work on the antennas and transmission lines of the world's tallest skyscrapers. Imagine starting out your workday with a fierce climb. The clip, from the tower climber's point of view, shows the climb up a 1,768-foot tower, and it's a rough one. Don't worry, there's an elevator up to the 1,600-foot point. Still, the rest of the upward ascent is nothing short of daunting. 168 feet of climbing up a ladder, carrying a 30-pound tool bag, which hangs via a rope below you. With this frightening view all around? No thanks. At the top of the tower, the climber is no longer surrounded by the metal structure. Now he's free climbing up small rungs with nothing surrounding him, should he lose his footing. I suppose this is what gives us goosebumps with these types of clips. With one wrong step, one wrong move, a stroke of bad luck, or the wrath of nature, the climber is moments away from a long fall.
What's that, dude?
A single strange light in the sky has a YouTuber named Jesse Tablebeast looking up with curiosity and horror.
Yeah, it's definitely flying, whatever it is.
He and his friend decide to drive towards the strange blinking light and investigate what it could be. This still image taken at 4 minutes and 58 seconds gives us a better look at it. A disc-like object floating in the air. There's an intense light coming from the bottom, and also a small circular dome on top. They don't know what it is, and neither does anyone else. A minute later, they are at the source of the light, which is much larger now, but still just as unexplained. They think the light is coming from a nearby power plant, but it's too dark and rainy to tell, so they go home without knowing for certain. This light, while bizarre, might be from a busted power generator, but if that were the case, then you'd think the light would be low to the ground and constant. The light is high in the air. Tell me what you think it is. Something is watching Sunny and CJ during this Randonautica horror exploration, published in May of 2021. Sunny Deeds writes, "On this adventure, CJ and I traveled back to the haunted Pocomoke Forest for another Randonautica adventure. We never expected this to happen." The "this" that Sunny is speaking of unfurls in the darkness. They tell Randonautica to bring it on and throw it at us, and are sent by the app to near a cemetery. As Sunny and CJ are outside their vehicle, an eagle-eyed commenter catches hidden people watching them. He writes that one is behind the bent branch over the ditch while the other appears to be recording them back with his or her own camera. Later, you can hear someone walking around if you listen closely. Shortly after, something is being smashed in the distance. That something turns out to be CJ's car window.
What the f was that? What was that?
When the pair return to their vehicle, they find the back window obliterated. It's absolutely shattered with no clear sign as to why. There is a sign, however, as to how. A brick sits amidst the broken glass, while the pair scream into the wilderness, asking who's out there. Sunny scans around. Briefly, you can see a light flash in the distance.
It's still cracking or something. Oh my God.
Do we have the answer to who as well? Something is definitely out there, but what he wants, only Randonautica knows. A ghost hunting channel in India called Kayatha knows of a haunted railway where plenty of lives have been lost and therefore plenty of paranormal evidence to be found. K2 meter in hand, they walk down the paranormal path and wait for a sign. Occasionally they feel watched and stop to scan the horizon, but nothing is there. Soon a general feeling of unease becomes so unbearable that they stop to put down the K2 meter. They know a life was lost here and a ghost is nearby. They can feel it, and then...
एहसास करवाएं वैसे आपने करवा दिए हैं
भाई रीडिंग देखो कितनी तेज आई है
अच्छा हमें साइन मिल रहा है
The ghost hunters are surprised to see the K2 meter spike hard for the very first time all night. They stand around for a long time staring into the darkness and getting nothing on camera. But just when they're about to give up...
कबीर भाई सामने देखो
वहाँ पे
जसी भाई
They go a few steps forward but stop when they realize the ghost has disappeared, or at least that's what they claim. They should have kept running if they wanted to prove it really was a ghost, but they were so creeped out by that point that maybe they didn't want to. It's easy to say that this is fake because they don't go forward far enough, but you never know how you'd react until you're the one having a ghost sighting. This paranormal ghost sighting video could be real. something materializes before the group during the scary Ouija session. Published by Caçadores de Sombras in February of 2022, two of the paranormal crew are in the middle of a session when one of them seems beyond freaked out. In the middle of the session, they sense someone in the hallway or the next room. They go in search of the spirit but find nothing. As they continue the session, the planchette flies across the board. It's not long before the head nun makes her appearance. They all jump away. Then they find the Ouija board in flames. Throwing it over, they turn to the crew member behind which the nun appeared. He's completely out of it, like he's been knocked out. They carry their friend out, but they're uncertain if they're safe from the nun. This is the type of experience that would practically leave anyone scared shirtless. In this creepy video, ghost hunter Luan Mendez and his team are investigating this spooky abandoned building.
O Renato aqui passou pra gente.
As they approach, one of the crew sees something, but what they find is not meant to be found.
Opa! Tem alguém aí? Ó, tem gente aqui, irmão. Calma, calma, calma. Mostra, irmão!
Despite the freaky scene, they enter, and they soon regret it.
Morcego, morcego. Ó, olha! Ele tá mostrando o dedo. Tá mostrando o dedo, Júlio. Tem sangue na boca dele. Nossa! Vai, puta, tá cheio de morcego na cama, cuidado!
After being bombarded by the bat, the team later hears a noise in the abandoned home. They look around to find its source.
Opa! Hã? Não viu isso. Nossa! Sai daí! Não, Wilson! Sai daí! Louco, moleque! Sai!
Of course, they flee, but the mystery of the figure draws them back in.
Oh!
Deve estar com má intenção, vapor, Zilô.
Olha aí o prego, ó! Eu falei aqui que eu me rasguei, irmão. Aqui o prego, aqui, ó. Tá doendo meu braço, velho.
But the hooded figure has now disappeared. It appears to me as though the crew walked straight into a ritual of some kind. But what type of ritual is the million-dollar question? You might consider calling the cops on the intruder trespassing on your property at night, but when it turns out to be this woman, maybe you should call a ghost hunter instead. Posted to Twitter by Daniela Guerrero, she writes in Spanish, "Okay, my parents have a security company, and how about the officials of a condominium have just passed them a heavy video of what happened last night. The video shows a large yard with a small pool. In the distance, a woman dressed in white crosses the property. She has dark hair and moves steadily forward until she's closer to the camera. She strides across, clearly on a mission, and that mission is to evaporate in plain sight. The phantom trespasser disappears into the night as she rounds a corner. What does she want here, and where did she go? All questions and no answers. Perhaps that's what we're supposed to have. Think you have creepy neighbors? Think again." Posted to the WTF subreddit, Protomancer writes, "Just someone slithering through my neighbor's yard in the middle of the night." That description about sums this clip up, but let's take a look at the Nest camera footage. A stranger is seen lying on its stomach on the ground outside this person's home. After a moment, he starts moving in what is well described as a slither. He could actually be crawling, with the camera distorting the movements into something even creepier. Not that army crawling across your neighbor's yard is normal at all. Well, some Redditors think the dude is just playing night crawlers. Others think the guy is on something. One Redditor, however, shares another possible theory from first-hand experience. Chordophonic writes, "Quite a few years ago I had something similar happen. Though I was several lawns away, the dude finally stopped on my lawn and we called 911 because he'd been caught with some other dude's wife. and it turns out her husband put a round in this guy. I kind of hope it's one of the first two scenarios here. A doll with a creepy aura is chilling enough. So what happens when the doll actually moves? The G-Team Paranormal Investigators posted this video to YouTube in March of 2019 writing, "After my recent video with Omar, I decided to take his haunted dolls home with me that night. I did not bring them inside my home. I left them in a shed out back. After watching back the video I did with Omar a few times, I decided to introduce his dolls to mine and turn the camera on. The video reveals an unsettling movement. As Patty, the host, is talking about the dolls, you can see one of the porcelain dolls' heads moves ever so slightly.
Because I don't want to keep her, but I'd like her to go to a good home. I mean, if there's somebody out there that's interested, I don't... Did that thing just move?
As if she's listening. Is she? If she is, does she like what she's hearing? She must not have gone full-on Chucky when the camera stopped rolling, so we can assume so. A Redditor named Bunny Toes posted a really bizarre video on the Chills Narrator subreddit that's worth further analysis. She says she was deleting random videos taken by her young grandkids when she came across this strange moment in her old house, which she has since moved directly because of what you're about to see. Her grandchild innocently passes over a shadow figure standing at the foot of her bed. Bunny Toes says this happened a day before her mother-in-law's birthday, who used to live with them for 6 years and recently passed. She has no doubt that this is her mother-in-law visiting her from the other side. This could be a real ghost sighting, but you do see Bunny Toes at the beginning of this video, so it might have been her walking away. I guess I'm willing to believe her, because most people would recognize themselves on camera, and the uploader is adamant that the shadow figure in the video is simply not her. This haunting video of a woman in a cemetery is creepy beyond all belief. She thinks she's alone and the cemetery looks as empty as can be, but somewhere... a child is heard screaming. She never shows what's going on in front of her, but that's because the screams are clearly coming from behind. She aims the camera down that way and only finds row after row of markers. No one is there, and yet the scary voices prevail. This one has to be paranormal in my opinion. Don't let Randonautica take you to just any random place, or you might live to regret it. This video is a prime example of why.
Alright, going randonauting, and it took us to this shady park in the middle of nowhere, so let's see what we find.
I came across it on a Vietnamese YouTube channel. After doing some digging, I was able to track down the original source to the TikTok account at Haley_AIG. Watch this next part closely. Did you see it? Something just peeked out from behind that tree, but that's not all. After the group crosses the bridge, they see the Nightmare Girl plain as day.
I think we have to go over this bridge, and our location's over down there. What the
That would be enough to make me abandon this Randonautica mission, which the team actually considers doing.
what the should we keep going?
But they don't, and then this happens.
Is she following us?
Although we can safely assume this is expertly composed fiction, that doesn't mean my soul didn't leave my body while watching this. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Fighters travels to the same tunnel system as Dark Arts TV. He is explaining his nervous anticipation when a loud scrape occurs directly over his shoulder. No one is near him. You can tell by everyone's distant chatter that they are pretty far away. Listen for yourself and tell me if you agree no one else was nearby. At least no one alive.
This video is going to be far.
They all get a really bad feeling upon discovering what could be fragments of human. Look at this part and tell me if he is tossing a part of someone's jaw or just a random piece of debris. I was wondering if these could belong to an animal, but then they discover a large collection of combs left over top. like this one for example, so I think we may have sadly found our answer. They are ready to leave before they come across any other horrible discoveries, but something follows them. This extremely creepy low laugh follows them on their way out, while the rest of the audio remains the same. In fact, what's especially scary is how one of these girls lets out a small chuckle shortly before this noise comes out.
People like pulling the fire game. Hi, so right now, like I won't be scared of spiders.
Almost as if it's laughing in response. Listen for yourself and tell me if you think this is edited or not. Saulo Brenner claims to have caught a ghost on camera at an abandoned cemetery somewhere in Brazil. Across the street is a shadow figure caught moving on tape. It looks pretty decent until you zoom in and see the ghost sighting is most likely a blur effect or a camera glitch. The date and time look messed up too, further evidence that the CCTV video has been edited and not paranormal. Dennis from YouTube channel Dark Ghost Paranormal is tracking some ghosts in an abandoned house, and it quickly goes sideways. Something is banging in this hallway. He gets closer to the refrigerator. Is something inside? More sounds throw Dennis off track. What was that? A second Steadicam may have captured what was causing this noise from another angle. Did you see that? Watch again closely. A shadow figure flees down the hallway. To me, it seems more like it escaped the fridge and moved off to make noise elsewhere. Where did it go, though? Better not follow. I think Dennis is not safe here.
What the heck?
Blake Newdorf is fishing with his dad on a pier in Kelowna, BC when he sees a giant creature off in the distance, at least 60 feet according to his estimate. Blake is sure that this is the famous Ogopogo lake monster. Apparently, it has some kind of sharp scales, from what he says here at 1 minute and 13 seconds.
It looks like it has spikes.
The camera is not good enough to pick up much detail aside from a basic outline. I think it kind of looks like it could be a piece of driftwood, but I guess at 60 feet long it would have to be a whole tree. Whatever it is, it floats around the bend where the water channels into a small bay. According to Blake, when they went around the corner to follow it, it was suddenly gone. Unfortunately, by that point, they had for some reason stopped recording. If what they are saying is true though, then this couldn't have been driftwood. Just when you thought you were alone, posted to the ghost subreddit by littlebit_, the Redditor notes that he and a friend on an investigation of an abandoned church in the middle of nowhere. He explains that his friend had gone to the parking lot on the other side of the building. He had stepped out to call his wife, he writes, and didn't return inside the building for another 10 minutes. Didn't even see this footage until after we had left. Creepy as heck. The footage shows a figure's head appearing in the window pane of the door several times, the short dark peering in at him. Some in the comments suggest it's probably just his friend outside, but as the Redditor explains, his friend wasn't in the building. He thinks the figure looks like a nun or a woman that, if you look closely, the face of the figure appears ghostly white. A close-up shot of the face does indeed suggest that appearance. Is this a ghost? A living person? A stranger or his friend? The question is, can there be a logical explanation to this figure's presence, or are we dealing with the paranormal yet again? Redditor ZZZ747 writes, "It happened again." As the Redditor explains it, they posted a video months ago noting that a neighbor's CCTV camera captured something strange, and in this post, we're seeing it for a second time. What do you think this white mist could be? Many in the comments think it's fog rolling through. Others suggest that the neighbor could be vaping. Still, others think it looks like the outline of a person or a ghost. What do you think it is? I'm not 100% sold that it's supernatural, but that doesn't mean it could be. Though judging by the Redditor's title, this isn't the first time this has happened. If this is captured again, maybe we'll be able to get more concrete answers. It's after hours at a hardware store when this red balloon floats into view for no reason at all. The store owner doesn't notice anything out of the ordinary. As he makes his way to a shelf to price some items, the balloon stays in place for approximately 15 seconds, which is already weird enough. But then once his back is turned, it steadily moves in his direction and even slowly floats to eye level, where it stays behind him for a long time. When he still doesn't notice, it actually floats around to cut him off. According to the owner, the air conditioning was turned off and there was no draft in the building, so there really should be no way for this balloon to be moved at all. Besides, he doesn't even sell them to begin with, and has no idea how one floated into a closed store.